What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's sample library review, we're going to be taking a look at ProjectSam's newest video, adaptive runs. And so this is basically an addition to the color series where they already have the orchestrator and the animator libraries, and those have also received updates with GUI things and I think some bug fixes as well. So this library is an addition to the series where they've basically tried to create the most comprehensive runs orchestral library on the market today. And we're going to take a look at all of the patches, see what it comes with, and how it fares against some other Win libraries, which I'll probably do that in a separate video, to be honest. I want to just focus this video on this library itself. So first of all, I do want to thank ProjectSam for sending me this library for review. It definitely means a lot, and I can definitely say that after playing around with it for a couple hours and experimenting with the different functions and the feel, it is pretty useful, and we can pull out some features to compare to some other libraries. I'll just mention them at the end. So to start with, essentially this library comes with 15 different patches, but you'll notice that the first 5 are a combo. So they basically have different orchestral sections layered in together: strings and winds, high strings and winds, flutes and piccolos. So those are just winds there. Strings, flutes, and trumpets. So we also have some brass runs. I believe for the brass, it's only the trumpets that run up. There's no horns, there's no tuba, there's no trombone or anything like that. Strings full range, that just means the entire range of the, like all the way from basses, all the way up to the violins. Then you have violas and cellos, so that's the lower end. The winds full range as well, and then flutes, piccolos, oboes, clarinets, bassoons. So it's pretty flexible because you can choose the different combos that you want from the different sections. I've also put in a little chord progression here using Sonu Score's The Orchestra 2, just to quickly show you the patch that I'm using. It is, sorry about that. It's essentially the library, and I've pulled in the orchestra patch. See if I can find it really quickly here. Where is it? Here it is. I've pulled in the Orchestra Complete 2, and then I went into here. I just went into the animated orchestra, and I found Heading Up River was a cool preset to play along to. So that's what we're going to be using as a demonstration. Let's hear a few of these runs first by themselves, though. So here is the strings and the winds together. That is the wrong track. Here we go. Okay, so a very cinematic sound out of the box. Now, there are 4 different types of sync options, which especially work when you are playing the DAW, right? Right now, because it's standalone, there's not that much happening, so it can't really sync to anything at the moment. But there are different options, right? So you have downbeat, where basically it doesn't matter where you're playing in the bar, the run will sync so that it ends on the downbeat of the next bar. Beats, of course, is the number of beats that the run will play. So if it's 2 beats, then it will usually be 2 octaves of the run, right? And if it's just 1 beat, then it's typically going to be just 1 octave. Okay, now this range here on the bottom basically does the same thing, except it really just forces a smaller run or a larger run. So and this one really is just like a 4th. These are just 4 notes, like dominant to tonic. If I do 2 beats, you can hear there it's a little more flexible, right? So there it sounds a little unnatural. And then you can force the run to go larger as well, so with a wider range. So that's pretty quick. Let's drag it out to 4 beats. There you go. Now, you can kind of hear their different runs being laced together there, which is not an issue in a full mix, but if you're just doing exposed, then you might hear that. But you could go even further here. Right, you can hear their pan a little differently, but that's totally fine. So anyway, by default, it comes with, I think, 2 beats and just the best match function there. So let's hear that in the context of this progression. So the chord progression, by the way, is C major to D major to A flat major, and finally to F major. And then it repeats, okay? Now, basically, I like to do my runs so that they basically anticipate the chord of the next bar. So if I'm going from C major to D major, if I'm doing a run going into the D major, then I'm going to be playing a D major run. Because if I don't, if I play a run in C major, then by the time the run hits the top, it's not going to match the next chord, right? So let's hear what that would sound like. If I play a C major run right here. See, then that high C that just hit is mismatched with the D major chord that's being played at the moment. So the best option is usually to choose a run of the scale that belongs to the next chord instead. So I'm gonna play a D major run instead, right? So there I chose the wrong chord. I played an E major instead. I should have played A flat major. Let's do that one more time. This is downbeat, by the way. So there, that was wrong because A flat major, and now I have to play an F major one. Right. So there, obviously, it didn't sound that great because I started super early, and so the engine was like, okay, I'm going to sync up to bar 6, which is the next downbeat, but I only have like two main beats to go through here, or 2 main octaves, so the engine kind of had to stretch everything out to match, to basically let the run play from beginning to end. So for me, usually the best option would be to go for beats, actually. So let's say if I want to stay consistent and I know that all my runs are going to start 2 beats before the next downbeat, then this would be the great option, because then you can set that up, right? You can set it as 2 beats, and then the run will always be 2 beats long. It doesn't matter where you're starting. You could start here on the second beat of the bar, and it's going to land here. It's going to finish here. So if I start here, it's going to finish here. So let's try that out. 1, 2. Okay, so what I just did there was I actually used the pedal feature to bounce the run up and down. So anytime you play a run and use the pedal at the same time, it's just going to infinitely bounce up and down. And I'm going to let go of the pedal right now. And notice how the run actually finishes before it stops bouncing. So that's a really interesting thing. Another thing to note is that the library comes mainly with major and minor runs, so you don't have a bunch of other scales like octatonic or pentatonic or I don't know, modal or harmonic minor or melodic minor. This library is more focused on the flexibility of the major and the minor runs. The exception to the rule here is the chromatic runs and the trumpets, but aside from that, I believe it comes with major and minor runs only. So that is something to look out for if you're trying to write music that's not in a major or minor scale. Aside from that, it's really cool because they give you these help topics that basically explain everything to you. The adaptive sync features there, right, with the seconds and the beats and the downbeat. There's different sections where you can actually, put one in or take one out. So if I just want to hear the woodwinds by themselves, and then if I want to hear just the strings by themselves, and then together. So that's cool to have that option to, have one or both of them at the same time. And then the blue key range here is basically reusing the samples from the purple range, I believe. So it's just an extra octave up. So that could be nice to have. Then we have 4 different mic positions, close, stage, far, and wide, and we're going to hear those in a second. And then you have your different control options for down and up runs. So right now, CC1 controls whether the run goes up or down. So right now my mod wheel is up, so the run is going to go down. But if I bring my mod wheel all the way to the bottom, then it goes up instead. But you can basically assign this however you like, I believe. So let's see. Yeah, control set. Yeah, here you can basically control how you want the up and down to be, like key switch or CC or major and minor. You can adjust that to your heart's content as well. So that is the first patch. Let's just go through these a little bit quicker and hear how they sound. So here I'm just using the close mic. hear the flute and the piccolo. So this is just using the stage mic. Now we have the far microphone loaded in. Now this is really cool. We've got strings, we've got flute, and we got trumpet loaded in. Let's just hear the trumpets first of all. It's definitely got that Project Sam's sound, very similar to the trumpet shakes in Swing. Just the flute. And just the violins. And of course, you can mix in the microphone positions how you want. So if I want less of the violins, now you can definitely hear the trumpet more. If I bring in the strings back in, then you can hear it's a little more full in general there. Cool. Then we have the low winds and low strings and winds. Let's hear both of them together. Just hear the woodwinds. So just an awesome thing to have. Then the strings have the full range runs, right? So all the way from bottom to top. So let's start lower. How about if we did, I don't know, plus a beat? Actually, that wouldn't matter right now because I'm not doing adaptive sync. What if I did 2 beats? Let's actually try to play this. There we go. Let's try it in 1 beat. Ready? Here we go. Right. Right, so there again, I did adaptive sync, I did the downbeat, and basically I started like here in the bar, so it stretched out the run all the way for the 4 beats, which didn't sound very natural. So typically if you stick with 2 beats or 1 beat, you're going to be in a solid position. Then we have the violins runs. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. We have the violas and cellos. These are just the low runs we've heard before. Some woodwinds. And let's hear it going down as well. Again, velocities controlling major or minor. Cool. All right, now we just have the flutes. Two beats. Cool. And then let's say the piccolo by themselves. Nice. Very nice and piercing tone, but yeah, you can definitely hear it over the orchestra for sure. Then you have the lower ones. All right, then we got some cool effects. I believe that's all it comes with there. And then we got the trumpet runs by themselves. And if I'm not mistaken, there is not much of a timbral control, if at all. I think you can kind of adjust it here a little bit for the different EQ curves and all of that, but I think it's basically recorded in one dynamic layer. So basically, depending on the instrument's timbral, capabilities and the register, the way they naturally perform the run has a crescendo or a decrescendo, right? And I'm sure that's baked into the samples. I don't think you can really adjust that. So that's both a good thing and a bad thing if you see it that way. And then finally, we have the chromatic runs. So yeah, definitely useful for certain situations. But yeah, that's essentially adaptive runs from ProjectSam's. So a very cool library. Is it more flexible than, let's say, Hollywood Winds? Well, I mean, it does contain these strings and it does contain brass runs as well, which I think brass are definitely the most undersampled in terms of the runs and effects. But in terms of flexibility, like Hollywood Winds, for example, from Cinesamples, and they also have Cinestrings, but both of those libraries are dedicated to specific runs and textures. The thing is, those, or Cinestrings runs especially, doesn't contain like cellos or basses or the low strings. So in this library, it does have those low strings, which is always nice to have. Also, the ability to combine the strings and the woodwinds in the same patch is also really cool. Whereas you would have to load Hollywood Winds in one patch and then Cinestrings runs in another patch to play them at the same time. But do keep in mind that Hollywood Winds and Cinestrings runs do have different types of scales as well, in addition to the major and minor. So they offer different things. For my purposes, because I do write largely diatonically, I would probably use this library. I would probably use both, because they both do the major and minor, very, very well. It's just, I would probably use this if I want a combination. If I want more of a string plus a woodwind texture together, it just saves me, a patch, because I can just load in one patch that has strings and woodwinds together rather than them separately. So that's definitely very useful. So yeah, the question is obviously, do I go for this or do I go for another run library? Well, I think I could put it like this. If you're happy with major and minor scales that are quite flexible, that you can adjust to 1 octave, 2 octaves, or even more, and also has the sync function. So maybe you don't necessarily play in time all the time, and you prefer to have the function where it can sync for you, or you can, set the beats up for yourself and make it more flexible that way. Then this library is definitely a great option because it has all those things for you, and it makes life a lot easier if you're not really a keyboard player or if your timing isn't that great. And yeah, I think the ability to shorten the run is just a really cool idea because, like we said here, like for example, I think, or is it beats? Under beats, so yeah, if you shorten it to like half a beat, you get only a few notes. So it's like the 5, 6, 7, and 8 of that scale, So that's really, really cool. But I believe in terms of the maximum range they sampled, I think it's 2 octaves. Right? So you'll have to make the runs fit within your score if you want more than that. You might have to stack additional runs on top of that, but that's with, all the run libraries anyway. Practically, they're probably going to play up to 2 octaves, and that's pretty much it. So just good to know. But anyway, yeah, I'm really enjoying this library. And again, I want to thank ProjectSam for letting me review it. Definitely a very interesting addition to the color series. I would definitely use it in my projects on a regular basis, in addition to Hollywood Winds and Cinestrings runs. But again, having out everything in one single patch is super nice to have. So I believe the one where they have the strings, woodwinds, and brass all together, if I can find this, I think it's down. Wait, hang on. Where are you? Here it is. So we have the high strings, flutes, and trumpets runs. Yeah, if you want all 3 sections together, this is awesome to have. And you just got to keep in mind that the other runs libraries that I personally own, Hollywood Winds and Cinestrings runs, do not contain a trumpet run capability. They don't have any trumpets or any brass in them. So that's just something to keep in mind. But maybe your brass libraries do have playable runs in them, like Berlin Brass does, for example. So I could create my own runs using this, but of course having them recorded is really cool too. So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on the library. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And yeah, Before you go, I want to give you a little gift. It is my sample library buyer's guide. It's absolutely free, but basically it categorizes my personal selections for strings, woodwinds, brass, percussion, piano libraries, jazz libraries, ethnic libraries, all that stuff, all condensed into one PDF. Hopefully it will help you on your next purchase. But it's absolutely free and my gift to you for watching this video. So thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.